Good afternoon. Welcome to Distill at a 360-degree view of life and sports. You have joined myself, Wendy Rosenthal, and my esteemed, fantastic, and very patient, forgiving partner and co-host, Ira Schwitzer. How are you today?
Hi, fabulous.
Yeah, that ride over the canyon is always...
It does a number on you?
No, just, I'm a speed demon.
It depends on when you're trying to make the trip. I got here a little earlier, so I think I missed out on some of the... And I came from Koreatown, so I actually sort of came the 101
the best
up on Barham.
Yeah. No, I'm going to admit, we've talked about this before. One of my favorite sports in the world is Formula One racing, and I kind of drive like I'm in a Formula One car,
exactly.
even though I'm in an SUV.
Even though you're not, yeah.
And you come over we're in Los Angeles, for those of you who are not here in Los Angeles with us, you go over the canyon, and you get behind people that, like, literally are driving less than the speed limit.
Right.
And I'm sitting there going, I know there's a reason. Maybe I should slow down. But honest to God,
those are
drive.
my people. I'm not a speed demon. I love speed limits. A little under, I feel safe. I have reaction time.
Below the speed limit.
I
had two people get out of my way, and I wasn't being mean. I wasn't honking.
Right.
They saw me coming.
They felt the energy.
Yeah,
that's all it takes.
We are so happy to be here again, as we are every other Thursday at 1 o'clock. As many of you know who do listen to us, Ava and I are the very proud owners of the Distillery, Inc., which is a company that works with athletes to help them repurpose their athletic intelligence into a more fulfilling life after sports. We are sports fans, passionate about all sports, and let me tell you, there's a lot of sports going on this week we got to talk about very quickly. But on Distill It, we like to look at all aspects of sports, not just what's going on in the field, but really sometimes the more fascinating and wonderful and amazing stories that happen off the field and in and around sports. And today we're going to introduce you to a very lovely man who we have the privilege of being able to interview today about his journey through sports and where he's ended up to right now. And I will ask our guest to chime in. Not yet. I'll give you a proper introduction with your beautiful name, hopefully pronounced properly
correctly
as well. But as we do every show, we like to talk about what's going on in the world of sports. There's been a lot happening, and so please feel free to chime in before your introduction if it's something you're interested in talking about. And I'll take a breath and slow down and say we love to hear from you. So if you have any comments that you want to share on our Facebook page, please do so, or you can call us in live at 323-524-2599. We are here at the fantastic UBN Go studios, and we are joined by our fabulous engineer, Ryan.
Well,
thank you for being here.
Yay, Ryan.
As always, we love having you join in the conversation as well, so please feel free to jump in.
You already know what I want to talk about. You already know what I want to talk about.
You
Which
can
one?
get it going. You
the
can get it going.
Raptors. The Raptors.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Last time I saw you guys, we were about to go into game one, and you asked my prediction, and I said the Raptors.
I said Raptors too.
Raptors.
We all said
We said
Raptors.
Raptors.
We're all on.
Well, it's not done yet.
It's not done yet. Anything could happen.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair.
But, I hate to say first, okay, well, that's one of the things that we should quickly talk about. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but we should congratulate the St. Louis Blues for winning the Stanley Cup.
It's amazing.
Yes,
First time
absolutely.
ever in their history.
First time ever, and I got to tell you, I was watching the sports last night on the local newscast here, and honestly, it wasn't even the fifth story. I was like, how can you, they just won.
Right.
How could that not be the headline?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Like, we don't really appreciate the National Hockey League here
No,
in
we really
LA.
don't. It's not
We
quite the
don't.
same. If the Kings aren't doing anything exciting,
Like,
we don't
who
pay
cares?
attention. Not
It
awful.
wasn't even it was like, Kevin Durant's injury first.
Right.
Which is one of the things that I want to talk about.
His surgery went well. Everyone's happy to know.
Surgeries went well, but
It doesn't matter who's winning championships around. Exactly.
the surgery went well.
I didn't know anything about hockey until a few months ago when my son wants to start to play hockey.
Really?
So
How old is he?
He's 4 years old.
Ice hockey.
Ice hockey.
Nice.
Yeah, he started to do ice skating, and now he's almost on the first team in
look
hockey
at
in the
that.
Toyota Center.
Look at that.
Wow.
So now you're going to be forced to learn all the details.
Oh my God, I have to learn everything.
Exactly.
Because I
It's
really,
a lot
I
like-
really know a little bit.
It's a lot like football, just on ice.
Yeah,
You know, know,
nice.
so you should be able to figure it out very quickly. Yeah, truly,
exactly.
it is. It's very, very similar.
Yeah, but rules are a little bit different. Yeah, but let's see. Yeah,
not much.
Yeah.
They allow more fighting in hockey.
Yes, they
do in soccer.
Well, soccer as well.
Yeah. So Kevin Durant, the big controversy surrounding his story right now is not the fact that he poor guy blew out his Achilles tendon, which is horrible and awful.
Right.
But that he played.
Yeah.
And, should he have played?
Was it worth it?
Was it worth it?
Yeah.
Thoughts, comments?
I think that it would be hard for me to say that he shouldn't have played because he's Kevin Durant and it's the finals, and if you're going to play any game, this seems like the one to play. If clearly he got injured, so clearly he wasn't ready. But I don't think you would have known that unless you try. So
unless you play.
I just think it's incredibly unlucky. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to say that he shouldn't have, though. I think he probably made the right decision, but it just got really unlucky.
I think we talked about this on the show our last show discussing, Nick DeLauda and going back a month after his big burn. So we're like, come on, these guys nowadays with the sprained toe, with the calf injury, should they be So I think if you were to ask him, how do you tell an elite athlete
not to play?
I think this is so much ingrained as part of their identity, and this is what they are designed to do. So if the championship is on the line and they need him, then he's going to get out there.
Yeah.
Risk it all.
Yeah. No,
I don't know, right or wrong. You tell me, because we haven't introduced you just yet.
But I love having this very beautiful
We do have
Italian,
a professional player here to tell us.
It's always a trick, because a professional player wants always play.
Right.
But there is sometimes that you have also preserve your legs, so your health.
Sure.
So that's why we always push, and also the team more than a player push, and there is always a fight between a coach and the therapist.
Yeah.
Because coach want the guy in the pitch.
Yeah.
And the therapist say, no, he's not ready. And so there is always a fight between them when is the right time to have the player on the pitch or not. So I was always available on making decision to play and risk my health and my legs.
Yeah.
But at some point you have also, confront with who know better than you if you are ready or not.
If you're ready or not.
Especially for your team, because it's possible that you're going to pitch and after 10 minutes you have to be out.
Exactly.
And the coach lose one substitution. So, and especially in my field that is soccer, so you have 3 changes and after that you're done. So if you lose a guy after 10 minutes, so it's not the best.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. True. It's never black or white.
It's never black and white.
So many factors to consider.
And Ava and I were in New York this week, and we asked a very lovely guy who we happened to see. He's a security guard, basically, in one of the buildings that we're in, and he's a sports fan, and we've picked up on that. So we asked him, hey, what do you think about all this? And he's like, he's not gonna. It's like a lot of money, and he's not gonna play. And I said, but he's Kevin Durant. He's still Kevin Durant. Right. So even if he's out a year, he's still Kevin Durant. He's going to be okay, you know? And he's like, no, he's never going to make as much money as him.
Well, there's no guarantee that you come back nearly as strong as you were before the injury. So, but that's the nature of sports, and you take those gambles every day.
Yeah. Well, and the idea is that he's about to sign a giant contract after this year, right?
Right.
So if he is injured, that's probably going to...
He's still Kevin Durant.
But, even being Kevin Durant, do you think he's going to get the same number as if he came in, played healthy, and...
He might not, but my guess is it's not like dropping from 100 million to
very
2.
True. That's very,
it's probably dropping from, I hate to say it that way, but
from 100
even
to
even a 75% Kevin Durant is probably better than 100% of 50% of the people who are playing.
So
right.
And speaking of soccer,
all that really matters right now is soccer, because there is so much soccer happening all around the world. It is so anxiety producing.
I'm going to take this. It is, and I'm going to take this moment. Because I want to let you get a little bit more excited. I'm going to take this moment to introduce our guest, because he keeps coming in, and now I'm sitting here going, "No, this is just wrong."
And if we're going to talk soccer,
we should
please.
start. It's a great lead-in. So, welcome, Emanuele Ponzo.
Oh, perfect.
What did you think? I did all right?
You pronounced perfect. Yeah, good job.
I haven't think about that the whole drive over here.
The speedy drive.
Yeah, the speedy drive, which got slowed down by people who drive so slow.
Actually, I like Formula One as well, and unfortunately, I drive worse than you because I'm Italian. So
you get that extra. So you drive fast and you don't care that there are lines on the road.
Yes.
Because I lived in London for 10 years and spent a lot of time in Italy.
I drive fast and I move from a line to line. And people are always are super unhappy. And I drive a lot. So that's why it's not the best.
So you and I are, we're buddies here. We're on the same page. I get you. I feel you. I understand you. Emanuele was a professional football player in Italy, if you couldn't tell by his accent. And we're going to hear his story in a minute, but I just wanted to introduce him. And that's why when we talk about soccer, we're going to definitely look for your insight. And he's doing amazing things now as an entrepreneur, actually quite new to this country, relatively speaking, who has really carved a road for himself and taken the skills. And I can't wait to talk to him about this because he really, a lot of the people that we've spoken to embodies taking the skills that you learned in your sport and really kind of repurposing them and building a business that's very successful. Correct. But before we talk about that,
we have to stop and say prayers for Colombia because Colombia's playing on Saturday. This is too much excitement. The Copa America starts tomorrow.
Yay!
Guys, this is huge. This is very, very big. Copa America starts tomorrow. The CONCACAF Cup, Gold Cup starts on Saturday. U.S. women's soccer is just, doing phenomenal, but it's the Women's World Cup. There is so much happening right now. It is just beyond, it's beyond belief.
This is like the trifecta for Aira. She is like, everything is happening now.
Right now.
I'm surprised you don't have your Colombian face paint on.
Yes.
When is that coming? Next
coming.
show, maybe?
It's coming next show, maybe.
If they advance.
Yeah, exactly. It's big. I mean, it's Colombia against Argentina on Saturday, and it's too much. We've been praying all week. My kids and I have been. It's way too much. It is way too much anxiety, way too much.
And we've been watching. Started. It's like she's already.
Well, because
already
it's big.
Having anxiety.
Well, because and also we've been watching the Women's World Cup, and unfortunately we don't have Colombia in there. We don't have Croatia in there. My only team that I'm rooting for is Nigeria. So it's like, I mean, usually I'm used to having all my teams in there. I have Nigeria, I have Croatia, I have Colombia in there. I have everyone. That means a lot to me. And this time it's been
America.
Well, with the CONCACAF Cup, that's who we're rooting for. The U.S. starts on Saturday. The CONCACAF is the Central, North, and Caribbean.
I'm talking about the women's.
Oh, the women's, of
World
course,
Cup.
but we're rooting for Nigeria in a different way than the U.S. Of course.
So we were flying back from New York, and we were in the car, and Aira, after a very long travel day and work day, and we were Aira pulls out her phone and starts watching the match between the U.S. and Thailand, who honestly, we were.
My God!
Did you watch it?
No, I didn't watch. I saw just.
There's been so much drama around. There's 13-0, and so much drama around the women's, the U.S. women's team, and whether they should have kept scoring so many goals, and whether they should have celebrated all the goals, and just so much. It's amazing, all of the
criticism.
The criticism. It's been huge.
And first of all, I have to admit, sitting in the car watching this, and every time, because I was half watching, and I had a couple of phone calls in between, and every time Aira would go, oh my God, I was like, they scored again. It was like, it was a ride. The ride sounded, I hate to say it, almost orgasmic on the way to the airport. She's like, oh my God, oh my God.
Stop.
And I'm like, again. And at one point, I literally was like, please make it stop. Like, these poor Thai people, these women, they're being crushed. It's awful. Won't they stop? Won't they make it stop? And she was like, no, but maybe they won't do the extra time.
It's the nature of the game. This wasn't a friendly. This is not a friendly game.
Yeah, I completely agree with you because I think that soccer or any sport, you have to perform your best. And I personally, I was in the position when I was young that we were playing against team that we were much stronger than them, and we won 10-0, 12-0, 14-0. And as a forward, I want to achieve more goal possible because this is my nature. I cannot stop myself. And I personally don't agree when there is a coach that say to the other coach, let's stop because you're already winning 5-0. So it's not the nature of the game.
I don't think you're doing the opponents a favor.
Yeah, no, and also when it's a friendly game. So you are performing, so you have to train yourself. You have to do your best because you have to be ready for the real game. So that's why I think is the nature of the sport.
You get out there to perform the way that you're supposed to.
And you give up after you lose a 13-0. That next time you play against US, you have to be more prepared.
Exactly.
You have to be more trained to not lose 13-0, but probably 6, probably 5, probably 4.
Exactly.
I think that's a really important point, and I think that it can lead into our conversation about your life and career and where you're at. Is, that's the thing about sports and why we love it, why we always say it's, a metaphor for life. The reality of it is, and, maybe if it had been excessive, celebrating, which we were watching. It wasn't. It was just like a normal goal. You know, what this does for the Thai team is it will ultimately help elevate them because, first of all, they were good enough to get into the World Cup.
Sure.
So they were there. That you can't imagine that them as athletes are any less than any athlete anywhere, whether it's the United States or Italy or Germany. Like, everybody's going onto that pitch to perform at their peak and to do the best that they can.
Exactly.
And they have to find ways to believe in themselves. They have to find ways to fail and come back from that failure. And if you deny them that, I think it's shortchanging their value as athletes.
Right.
You're like kind of saying they didn't deserve to be there then.
100% agree.
Yeah.
So first start with like maybe give us a 2-minute overview of, I know that's really fast, but we don't have as much time as you would think.
Yeah, of course.
About where you started your career in football and kind of why that career ended when it did.
So I started to play in professional team when I was a little more than 16, and I moved from my city, Rome, to south of Italy, playing in a small town in the south of Italy. So I played professional for several years, and I mean it was fun. I learned a lot. So I developed all the skills that, as we discussed a little bit, I just had this transition from the skills that I learned when I was playing soccer to business today, and I mean I enjoy it. I mean soccer was my life, so it's still part of myself. But anyway, I cannot complain about what my life is today and how I moved from being a professional soccer player to a businessman.
And you talk about that like it was an easy thing to do, but for so many athletes, certainly the ones that we know through the work that we do, it's not an easy, to identify what that skill set is that has you successful, on the court, on the pitch, but how to take that and then do something else. It's not an easy transition for most.
It's not definitely an easy transition, especially when for you, whatever you're doing in your sport and your life and be an athlete is everything. So when I was playing soccer, I didn't see anything else. And I remember when I was a kid, 2 years old, that I was sleeping with a ball in my bed. So it's something that is inside, I say that is inside of the blood. So, and when you understand that your career is ending for any reason, because you're too old or because you had a very, very huge injury and you have to leave your career.
Sure.
So there are two choices: or go in depression or just think which is next. And you have to just think about how you felt strong or which were your characteristics when you were playing a sport professionally. Sure. And I mean, on myself, I was thinking that I was a very good leader, so my team really followed me. I was super persistent during the game, so we were losing 3-0 and missed 5 minutes in the end of the game. I was not just we lost. No, we lost when the referee say stop.
Exactly.
They say like, the game is finished. In that moment, I can realize that I lost, and also I was a very good team player. Sure. So I really enjoy with my teammates in a pitch, outside of the pitch, taking shower and whatever we were doing. I was really a guy that I want to be involved with them.
Right.
So and then I just realized that probably is possible to move. To have the transition of all of these skills from being a professional athlete to business, and this is what I did. And I started to develop my first company, and then the second, and then now I'm here in US.
So before we talk about the companies that you've developed, I'm curious though because you were quite young when you started, when you had to stop playing soccer for injuries, right? How were you able to? How are you able to see it when so many athletes around the world, not just here in the United States, I think this is an endemic problem everywhere, they don't see that. They couldn't sit there and say to themselves, oh, I'm a leader, I'm a team player, I'm very persistent, I don't give up. I can use that. What was it in you that allowed you to see those qualities and be able to to transition it, or was it a period of time for you where you had to go through a process to get yourself there?
Yeah, so I think that there are many things very important that for everybody is different, of course. I mean, on myself, I think to grew up with very good values that was transferred from my family. It was the first thing that helped me a lot. And then there are many other options, from coach to organization, as you have, guys, or I don't know, a good friend, a brother that can show you, can help you how is important for a person to move to a next.
Sure.
So for me, it was also a little bit, a difficult moment, because also my personal, on my family was not the best time on our life, because my mom and my father were divorcing, and my father was never a father. So that's why, but this gave me power. So didn't give me the chance to go more in depression, just gave me power. So just gave me the chance to show to myself, to my family, to my father, to my mom, my brother, that I want to help them to go out from this situation.
Yeah.
And I saw that I was the strongest person in a home. So, and I was very young. I was 22 years old, 23 years old. So, and I saw that the only way to give up was to see how I can do something.
So it's almost different. It's almost like the adversity of not only having a career-ending injury, but having to deal with some personal challenges was motivating for you.
Motivating, yeah. I think that's that's in Italy there is an expression that I don't know if you use in US, that you can say the glass half empty or half full.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I always see the glass half full, because this is the only way to give up. It's the only way to see what is next. It is the only way to see which is the good, the positivity on that moment, on that situation. These really help a lot. And if you don't manage to do alone, there are many other things that you can do to be out on that situation. That is guys, it's depression. So when you stop your career, is a really the worst moment on your life, because you spend all of your adolescence or your life on want to be like a superstar.
I think it's so impactful that you just said it that way, so honestly, because I think a lot of the athletes we meet, either before their careers ended or even after, it's like they don't want to talk about the pain of what it might be, or they don't even want to think about it. So you're in the midst of a career and you think, even if you are super successful, you play until you're, let's say, 40 years old. Like, there's going to be a time limit. Your body's going to age. Sure. Like, we haven't figured that one out yet. And so you see a lot of athletes who don't even want to think about the fact that their career inevitably, even if you are the biggest superstar ever, is going to end at some point.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The problem is that it's not easy to accept that sometimes something will be finished, because this in everything, in a relationship, in whatever you do. So if it's something that you like, you love, it's not easy to accept that one day will be finished, but it's very important to think when will be the moment, because move from a professional, I don't know if it's the right sentence, but professional healthy career, or be a professional players, to like a life where you have to see which is the next on your life, but not be like the superstar. Or also when you're not very superstar, but you're playing professionally, you have all benefits. You have your house paid. You eat every day in a beautiful restaurant, and you have an amazing diet, and you have all fun that say, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And you can meet a lot of people. So at the time also enjoy a different kind of relationship with just a few women, because because if my wife is listening today, so she will be not super happy.
Pre your wife, right?
Yeah,
yes.
pre your wife, of course. Yeah, pre your wife.
I'm hoping our podcast is going to give us the same lifestyle that he's describing, right?
Exactly.
Except for the lots of women. No, I'm happy with my husband, but you know.
And you know that if you don't see what can be next, also when you have millions and millions of dollars, could be not good life after you leave your career, because you can start to drink, you can start to try drugs, you can start to spend your money in a crazy way that's at some point whatever is the money that you have will be finished. So this happened to many important athletes, and
many who have tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars that they've made.
And
it's not like
they lose it.
You know, it's so fascinating because you also sit and think about, you know, somebody who has, say, made $100 million over their career and then is struggling to make, you know, to pay their bills. Not 5-6 years later. You're like, $100 million, like that's so much money.
I tell you another thing, especially when you are your habit is to be at that level. When you make, I don't know, 20 million a month or 20 million a year or 10 million a year, you have very nice life. And when something's changing, you have to be ready to change your life and figure out how come back at that life. So this example is what I did when I decided to move in Los Angeles. So when I was in Italy, in the last 2-3 years, I cannot complain on my life. So I was a successful guy in a business.
Tell us what you did. Tell us what you did when you finished your football career.
I opened my first company that I opened with my brother. We opened a legal service company in Italy, and our first office was in Rome.
Because you're also a lawyer.
I'm a lawyer,
behind the scenes. We forgot to tell everybody that part.
I studied international business law while I was developing companies. So, and this was also a little bit I cannot say a challenge, but a bet with my father, because he was a lawyer as well. And when I left soccer for the injury, and when he left home, he told me, "You didn't want to study. You cannot do anything in your life."
So you were going to prove him wrong.
And I just answered, "Let's see." So I'm very young. Let's see what happened next. And in 4 years, I developed the most successful company in my field in Italy, and in the same time I graduated in law, and I was graduated in international business law. So something that I can be proud of.
So as they say in England, you said to your father, and excuse me for being rude.
Yeah.
Right there.
So and after that, I continued to develop companies and business between real estate and food as well. And again, I was living a very good life. So I was making some money. I spent all of my winter in a weekend skiing up to Abruzzo. Is this place where I have my room in my hotel for all 3 months during the winter, and then 2 weeks every time I was skiing in the north of Italy, in Switzerland or in France, and then all summer by the boats, so playing golf. So it was not bad life.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it was not bad life.
And but you chose to move to Los Angeles.
But
and literally I'm sitting here going, what's wrong with this man?
But you know what, that as an athlete, as a person that I love challenge, as a person that I love to see what can be next, I told myself, let's see what happened in a new country where you can go and you don't know anything about. So I moved in Los Angeles in 2014.
But I want to stop you, because that's like, I don't know if that's even normal athlete think, like I'm very impressed. I'm not saying this in a critical way, but not many people will stop and say, I'm very successful and I have this amazing life. Let me not throw it away, because I don't think you would have thrown it away. Of course not. But let me completely shift what I'm doing because I want a new challenge. That's really fascinating. And I'm curious how that mindset helped you in your sports career, because I imagine that that mindset was you.
Yeah, I think this is nature, is a character. So is the same when you are playing with the team that you really like, but you are playing I don't know, with a team that is in the middle of the championship every year, and then you receive a call that you can play with one of the top team.
Right.
But when you go in a top team, you have a lot of team players that maybe can be better than you. Maybe you watch them all of the championship that they are playing. You are there seated waiting for your moments, and you can make the decision. I want to be at this level and just be like the star at this level, or I want to try to play harder in another level, and then figure out if I can be a better star or not. This actually is a character. There are some professional athletes that prefer to go up. Other professional players that prefer to stay in their team, that they feel comfortable. And this is what happen also when they finish their career. So if they want to have more thing to do, they want to see how many next chapter they can have, or just stay on the sector and just be, I don't know, an assistant coach, or be, I don't know, I mean, stay on the team in some way, like on the manager and the team. So depend of the person, the character.
So you pick up.
Why the U.S.?
So I think that's this start from when I was 19. That's I had the opportunity to go and play in London, in England. And I mean, was the same moment when I saw that in my family it was a little bit, mess. And I just told myself I cannot go so far. And I decided to stay in Italy. And then when I started my career, I started to grow as a businessman. And sometimes I was sit in some table where I have to talk with people that were not from Rome, from Italy.
Right.
And I remember some meetings where people were talking English, and I have close to me the interpreter asking every 2 minutes, so could you translate, please? So I was not very good for me as a good businessman, and without to talk one word in English. And then America, is a dream for anybody in the world that do not live in America. And then there are many cities in America. And I just did a quick research. I saw that Los Angeles was the place that was growing a lot. So movies here, technology startup were coming from San Francisco to Los Angeles. Moda was moving from New York to Los Angeles. Food, the trends was that Los Angeles was growing. So, and I told myself,
good weather.
So let's play in the play that's everything is going.
Right.
So, and that's why I decided to pick Los Angeles. And guys, trust me, I never been Los Angeles in my life before to decide I want to go there and live there.
Wow.
So I was 2014 when we landed with my wife, and we went out from the airplane and we watched together, and we said, now? So I didn't speak one word in English. So I barely could say.
You're doing very well.
Oh, thank you, appreciate. The important thing that I can communicate. And then and I remember, I tell you very quick a funny story. I was in an elevator, and after probably 2 weeks we were in Los Angeles, and a guy asked me, are you doing? In my mind it was, what are you doing? It was, no, how are you? And I answered, going to the market to buy food. He looked me again and asked me, are you doing? Food, yum. And he asked, how are you? And I answered, oh, good. I come back at home and I told my wife, I met a very unpolite American guy.
Right.
He asked me 3 questions, and I told her which was the question. My wife started to smile.
I love it.
To smile. Told me, he was just asking you, how are you, in a different way.
Exactly. That's so great. So so great.
That's incredible.
So when you came here, you knew what you wanted to do business-wise? Or you came here and figured out?
I came here to figure out.
Okay.
So I came here.
That's even more bold.
Right.
Like to not even walk in with here's what I'm going to do.
I just pick up 2 things. So school to try to learn English a little bit, and then and house for a few weeks. And then I told myself, let's see around, let's study a little bit this city and the trends of this city, and then let's see what can I do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So tell everybody what you decided to do.
Yeah, that's super cool. So I opened a company that does catering in Los Angeles. We used to do also meal delivery service, and we sold on to a company from New York just a few months ago, like 6-7 months ago. Yeah. And we have a very hand chef working with us, and a Saudi chef that is a James Beard award-winning chef. Yeah. I decided to bring something a little bit innovative that was not really common in Los Angeles 3.5 years ago. Yeah. And I'm so proud for the clientele that we have.
What is that? What is that novelty?
So we there is of course in Italian influence in our dish, but we present our dish with a soft flavor, but at the same time what we say Instagram friendly. Mm-hmm. So people like to take a picture on our food. Yeah. So it's super nice how it's presented. Sure. But sometimes when this food is super nice how it's presented, super colorful, with some strange form, it's not, probably cannot be enough good. Mm-hmm. And our food is incredible flavor. And then it's beautiful how we present the food. Yeah.
And what's the name of your company?
Grateful. Grateful. It's like every time I say grateful, I have to say it's like grateful, but with a C.
Right, exactly.
So and now we are. We are almost. We are building our first restaurant in downtown LA that probably will be ready.
Lovely!
My gonna be so happy.
It's my favorite part of LA.
Yeah,
I'm born and raised, and downtown for me is phenomenal.
Fantastic. We cannot
tell us where just yet.
Where is in the financial district? We cannot. We have already picked the name, everything, but it's a little
keeping under wraps for now.
It's a little bit early stage.
Yeah.
And there are many other projects that we are.
Amazing.
Now the company is growing very well. So we every year we double our gross revenue, and now is the time that we want really be bigger, and we are looking also to buy other companies in the same field. So that's why it's an exciting moment.
Good for you.
So, what do you think of all of the skills that you learned as an athlete? Now, not necessarily your innate skills, because clearly you have a drive that is very unique. Mm-hmm. But your years playing at an elite level with coaches that were coaching at an elite level, what is the one thing that you learned that you've transferred into your business today?
Yes, I think one thing is the humility is to not be I don't know this word in English now I don't remember, but humility is something very important. You have to know that you don't know everything. Sure. There is always time to learn more. There is always time to listen to somebody that know more than you. There is always a coach that can direct you on the right way, and at some point you have to start to listen more than, because again, especially when you play soccer or any other sport and you are very young. So, you have skills. You have for sure, power, but you're young. Yeah. So you have to learn, you have to listen. And I think this also in life, when you start to do business and open companies and you're growing, there is always somebody that probably can be a right mentor for you, right coach. And I can say that probably I cannot be here in US and having a very successful company if I didn't have the right coach, the right mentor close to me.
Yeah. I love that answer because I didn't expect it, number one. And number two, I think it's something that we don't see, especially when you're watching professional sports, is something that athletes actually have to learn how to have, right? Sports are often so full of ego. Mm-hmm. Or the big star players, the egos, it seems very ego-driven. They know what they're doing. And yes, everybody thinks, okay, you have a great coach and that's fine, but just having a coach doesn't necessarily always translate into also being humble.
Of course.
So I think it was very interesting that that's what you learned from your athletic career, and that's really helped you?
I think before you learn these, before you can be a very successful person, it's not just talking about business related, but also in your family. So you have to listen. So it's something very important. Usually men do not listen.
Oh my God! I am so glad I didn't have to say that.
I'm a guy that's listen a lot, but usually I can say that these are the characteristic that men should improve.
See,
for sure.
Sport is a metaphor for life. That's a lovely takeaway for today's show.
It is.
Men just have to learn to listen.
All right, men out there, it's a challenge. It's a 30-day challenge.
It's a 30-day challenge.
Can you please listen, just for once? Can you listen?
And also learn on the smart way to know better one word that is a yes, and then after to your wife, of course.
Right.
Always.
Then, always yes. Yeah. And then after a few hours, you can change the yes talking, but the first answer should be yes. Yeah, whatever you want, baby.
Mike Swinney, are you listening?
So what he really means is listen so that you have time to prepare the game plan for how you're going to change her mind to doing what you want her to do.
But
you want to go from a yes to a maybe.
It's a smart play, though, because if you say yes, at least you got them.
You got them.
At least you can carry on the conversation. If it's a no, I should learn that, actually. Yes. Maybe, Mike, I'll take it back. I should be more like that. I'm going to work on it. I like this direction very much.
So running a catering company is very different from the legal services firm that you had in Italy. What's the biggest surprise?
So I tell you, first of all, when I left my career as a professional soccer player, I saw how much passion I had in a food, especially because I grew up in a family that owned a farm in the south of Italy. So my grandmother owned the farm. Amazing. So you made 94 years old, still working in a farm.
I love
Incredible.
it.
And you live in Rome. Well, let's just put the stake in this.
Exactly.
I mean, come on. That's one of my favorite things about Italy is that almost you just walk down the street and you go to any restaurant. It almost does not matter at all, and you will get an amazing meal.
Yeah,
it's true.
It's so true. There's very few places in the world that you can say that.
I agree with you. So I mean, in Rome you can eat everywhere good food. So and I mean, this doesn't mean that in Los Angeles in US you cannot eat well, but to be honest with you, there is a huge difference.
Sure. I think it's a philosophy.
It's a philosophy
about food in general.
Especially, and now I answer on your question. So when I understood my passion in food, and I was building my companies, so I started to be a consultant for several companies in the food industry in Rome and on the business side, and I mean I understood that my passion probably could have another transition to a business. Yeah. So and that's why when I moved here, the company that I once built was in a food industry, and again with an innovative aspect on the introduction of the food, the items, and the same time have the Italian influence, the Mediterranean influence that is to create amazing dish with a simple recipe and a few ingredients.
Right.
So what I saw completely different here than Italy is that in many places you go and you order your food, you have a salad that have 25 ingredients. So to be honest with you, I think that is much better to have a good salad with 5-6 ingredients, not 25. So and this is especially better for your body and your health.
Easier to digest.
Sorry?
Fewer ingredients are easier to digest.
Yeah, of course, 100%. A few ingredients, and then, you can recognize what is in the salad. You can recognize what is in your main course. You can recognize what is in your appetizer if there are just a few ingredients. If you mix up too much, so it's, first of all, you can hide some ingredients that are probably not super fresh.
Right.
And I always order simple food wherever I'm in a restaurant.
We have a watcher who's doing the high five, emojis on Facebook to your comment about, I think, simple food and great food. So I think that there is agreement on that.
That's fun. Yeah, I mean, and also, it's fantastic how in these 3.5 4 years, people here in US, Americans are changing their mind on ordering the food and have a little bit more let's say expectation on the food and just asking more questions. So it's fantastic. It's phenomenal. This means that probably something changed.
Yes.
It's changing. And, the Italian approach on my company is rated also on the fact that, Italian has been found to have the most healthiest people in the world just now in 2018. And
I mean, can we move to Italy then? Can we do this show from Italy?
I'm happy there.
Healthy.
I always love my time there. I always love my time. Let's do it. That's it. We're sold.
I used to say that if we did not come back to the United States when we were in London, I used to say to my husband, Italy is where I want to retire to, because not only do they have the healthy kind of lifestyle and the mentality, but I found so much that the Italians take care of people. Yeah. Like there's almost a natural, like, we have to take care of you. I don't care if we know you, you're part of our family.
No, that's completely true. I mean, again, the problem in Italy right now that, I mean, everybody knows is that our government is not supporting very well Italy. And I mean, also the mentality, you know, that the problem on Italians is that we think that we have everything. Mm-hmm. Sure. So that's why, I mean, we are also a little bit like, I say, we sit instead to give up, you know? Yeah. We sit. So like, I mean, we have a fantastic sea. We have a fantastic food. Yeah. We have a culture. We have mountains. We have wine. We have everything.
It's the wine that keeps you sitting, I promise you that much.
But too much.
Yeah, right. We only have a few minutes left of the show, but we have to ask. So as a former professional player, would you encourage your kids to follow that path of professional sports?
To be honest with you, I think that it's very important that my son does sports. Mm-hmm. That's why, I mean, he's playing hockey, he's playing golf with me because my passion now is golf. And he's playing.
I love it. Yeah, okay, when can we play?
We'd love to play with you.
I love playing golf. I'm not very good at it anymore, but I still love it.
Oh, beautiful. He plays tennis a little bit. And not soccer, just because he decided. So, you know, as being a professional soccer player, I would love that my son plays soccer, but I won't leave him to take the decision about what he wants to do. But for sure, sport is very important for the health. Yeah. It's very important for your body. It's very important for, I mean, develop your skills.
Your mindset.
So 100%. No TV, no video games, not too much cartoons. Sports.
Right.
This is an advice that I give to all of the parents are in the world. That is very important that your son or your daughter plays sport.
Play something.
Do you, though, recognize that there is also a fine line between, you know, encouraging your kids to play sports and supporting them, and then being too directed on what they do and getting too involved in that process?
Yeah, to be honest with you, that's why sometimes I do a step back and I leave my wife to talk with him. She's a completely different field. Now she's an influencer, but is an actress, a model, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. No sport. I mean, she was dancing a little bit, but I mean, no professional athlete. And I leave her sometimes deal with him because I know that he's too young and sometimes I'm too strict. But I see the potential, so that's why I really like involve him to do more. Yeah. Actually, because there is a something like in a gene that is super true. I mean, he plays with the leg lefty as me, and with the hand right. So he plays golf with the right, but when he hit the ball, he hit with left.
So interesting.
Yeah, that's so interesting. It's completely.
So it's genetic.
Yeah, genetics is same of me, and I see that there is a lot of potential.
Sure.
So, and that's why I want really push him. I mean, in the right way, not too much, to continue and to figure out in a couple of years which is his favorite sport, and then deal just with one. Yeah. I don't believe that the kid when he's 8, 10, 12 years old should play like 3-4 different sports a week. No, when you are 6, 7, you have to pick up your sport.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, so specialize early.
Yeah.
That's, you know what? That's
not
always
controversial. That's a controversial topic. Many.
We should have him in with somebody who believes differently and have the debate, because we're always being asked that, and it's something with 7-year-old sons, you know, and daughter, but she's a little bit older. I'm talking about the age. Yeah. You know, like it's always a debate. How much do you let them play? When do you start to feel the, you know, talent in one sport versus another?
Yeah, versus another. I mean, and then I think that is natural. So when the kid is 7 years old, is natural. Is what he asks always at home. So I want to go and play this. I want to go. Now don't bring me to tennis. I want to play again golf. So when a kid is 6, 7. I mean, in my case, I was 2 when I already decided that I want to play soccer.
Yeah, and everyone's different.
Everyone different.
So you learn to listen to them. And more than anything, have fun.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Of course.
Have lots of fun. If you're not having fun.
But just if I can say that, I'm a little bit different on the mentality while kids are playing the game. In the game, also if they are 8, 7, 9 years old, I'm not the guy that say if they're losing 10-0, oh, that's fine, fantastic, good job, yes, you play very well. No, if you are losing 10-0 and you are not playing very well, I have to tell you, you are 8 years old, I tell you, you are not playing very well. Honest. You have to improve because in them moments, already when you are 6, 7, 8, you have to build your character and not just hear the word good job.
Exactly.
It's more
even
European.
More.
Sorry.
No, I love for me.
We're very honest.
We're very like that.
We're like brutally honest.
Totally. I will give a trophy just for effort, but she won't. So you guys are probably more.
Oh yeah, trophy. That's a whole other conversation.
It's a whole other conversation.
We wouldn't even ask you about that.
But we agree with you. We agree with you. We agree that kids at that age need to understand that they're not playing well.
Yeah,
I understand.
It is such a pleasure having you here, Emanuele. Honestly, we really enjoy the conversation. First of all, we want to let you share with everybody where they can find you if they're interested in your current business, your successful catering and food business.
Thank you so much.
What is your website?
Oh, the website is cratefulcatering.com.
Yeah. Okay.
And our Instagram is crateful_catering if somebody wants to follow us.
Awesome.
I will be super happy.
Awesome.
And people will. Pretty pictures of delicious food.
And we would love to have you back for debate and other things. I love the perspective. It's fantastic.
Exactly.
Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. As always, I've seen lots of people on board, and we really always appreciate your support. We would love for you to share if you like what we're talking about here, and you can find us at thedistilleryinc.com, the Distillery Inc. on Facebook page. We are on all your favorite podcast platforms, including iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, CastBox, Stitcher, and many, many more. We will be back in 2 weeks' time.
Yep.
And so you're usually the good one with the dates.
June 24th.
Thank you so much. Yes. June 24th, we will be back.
27th.
27th.
Today's the 13th. 20th, 27th.
27th.
Yes, I thought.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Ryan. We'll see you all soon.